Okay, so we are starting. Please, if you are not talking, you have to put your microphone off so you don't disturb the session. And then you also have to put your video off because the internet connectivity is not good by itself. So if you have your videos on, it's going to disturb it. And we don't need faces for any purpose now. So it will not be useful to show faces or show your background to anybody. We only need to hear what we are coming to say and see the demonstrations we want to do. So we have 63 people in class now. The rest can join later if they wish, because we are going ahead. This session is on Python programming, which is a major part of our course for the semester, computer applications and accounting. We have already done databases. The whole idea of what we are trying to do is about big data management. That's the bigger thing. We introduced the course by looking at the concept of big data and the opportunities. It presents a lot of opportunities. We discussed them. It's like data holds all the magic that we want. It holds all the answers that we want. And we can just see around us the magic that data is doing. Typical example is generative AI. AI, ChatGPT, artificial intelligence is nothing but data. So I think that kind of technology you see around you is to sum everything about the importance of data. So if data can make us do all of this magic, then we need it. We need it more than anything. But the data by itself does not do artificial intelligence. We're supposed to have a technology to mine the data for gems, for insights, for all of that magic that is buried inside the data. And part of the solution to the big data problem, in other words, one of the ways that we can harness, or one of the ways towards getting that benefit of big data, is the ability for you to store the data so that the data doesn't leak away. And storing the data also means that you need to get the data in a form that is suitable for analysis. And we try to look at the technology or some of the technology which is available in tapping the data in a form which is conducive for analysis. We have tried to look at the gist of that in terms of databases. We looked at the relational database model, and we have tried to model a database using SQL and Access. Actually, we implemented the SQL using the Access RDBMS. So the assumption, this is a classroom work. The assumption now is that we are saying that we have been able to create a database to capture the data we need. What we have done is a representation of that concept. I told you what we have done is just a demonstration and it's just a tip of the iceberg. There are a lot of deeper technologies, even with the SQL, accesses a desktop, small business level, and it doesn't scale that much. So, but the concept is the same if you want to learn the bigger systems like Postgres, Microsoft SQL, or Oracle. If you want to learn them, it's a standardized language, so everything is the same. Create database, create table, select columns from the table. Those kind of syntax in the SQL language is the same thing that is used. Those of you who are serious about this, I'm sure they have already been looking at it. They are curious about it. A lot of information already exists on the internet. You don't need to pay anything. You already have a good introduction about how these things work. You just go ahead and learn them. You don't need anything again. That's it. So we are assuming that we have these systems to trap the data, and therefore we have the big data in a good form that we can analyze. And how do we analyze that big data? That's where analytics come in. Python programming, R programming, and some other programming languages. Popular ones are what we seek to make you aware of, give you good introduction to, like Python programming, almost the most popular programming language. R is also there. They work in many ways, they are very similar because they try to do the same thing, just that they use slightly different approaches and they have their biases. But once you understand one, you almost understand the rest, at least about 50%, if not more. All right. So this part of the course tries to introduce us to Python. If we already have the data sets, how can we, what are some of the things we can do in Python to manipulate the data and get some sense out of the data? This is the introductory part, so we are going to kind of crawl with it. We'll try to get a little bit deeper into it for you to be, for you to have a good appetite for it, so that if you're interested, you just pick up the basis and then move on. Okay. So at this point in time, I'm going to share my screen where we try to use the tools that can help us do Python programming. We have already done a session which has taught us how, some of the tools we use, like Jupyter notebooks. We've talked about the Anaconda package, which is a good way to start your programming as a beginner, because once you install Anaconda, it has the Python interpreter, it has a host of programming environments, what we call integrated development environments. The typical integrated development environment, which is very good for learning, and therefore that's what we're going to use, is the Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab. Jupyter Notebook, Jupyter Lab, essentially the same thing. The lab is just a bit enhanced. It's an enhanced version of the classical notebook. We have already shared videos. We have had a lecture on it already, shared videos. So you should have a good understanding of how to use these tools. It is your duty to watch the videos we shared and watch the video on the lecture we did. No one can watch the video for you. That is never done in this world. No one can read the text that has been given to you to read. So if you haven't watched the videos, if you haven't read any text we have given you, you don't need to blame anybody. You need to blame yourself because these are things you need to do by yourself. Okay, so let's move ahead. I'm going to share my screen at this point. Give me a few minutes, then I'll share my screen with you. Please just let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, please.
Good. So when you open your Anaconda Navigator like this, you see a lot of things. We have already discussed this stuff. So you launch your Jupyter lab. You can also launch the notebook is the same. So you can find some tutorial on how all of these things work. Spider is also a good development environment. PyCharm is also great. And most people also like using VS Code. The advantage of VS Code is that it is designed to be very versatile. It's not only Python, you can use it to program. You can use it to program almost all the programming languages. You can use it to program Java, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, almost all the dominant programming languages you can think of. We are doing Python to be specific and also for learning purposes. I'll explain why Jupyter Notebook or Lab is very good for, what we are doing as teaching and learning. So that's what we are going to do. You just click on launch and then Jupyter Notebook is supposed to launch. Depending on the resources of your computer, it might launch speedily or it might delay a little bit. So you need to take your time. Can you still see my screen? Can you see the Jupyter Lab launching?
Yes, please.
Good. So we click on notebook, this one, and then we open it. It also means that if you have an existing notebook already opened and maybe you want to work on it, once you have opened it like this, you can see all of the notebooks you've been working on. Here, when you click on this folder, you try to get a directory. The directory of the current directory where you are working from and the subdirectories inside that directory. So you can see that we have this, we have some other files, including what we have created now. The other time we explained how you can rename this. So
Sir, please, we
can
can't see
choose
your screen.
rename and do it. Better still,
Sir, please, we can't see your
you
screen.
can't see my screen.
Yes, please. We are still at the under corner navigator.
Yes,
Sorry, I'm coming. The old screen.
Yes, sir. Your screen is not moving.
Yeah, we are the old screen under
So
corner
has the
navigator.
news.
Yes, please. It has come now.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Good.
yes, please.
Yeah, it has come now.
Thank you. So now
Okay.
I was explaining that when you click on the new notebook, it creates a new notebook, but sometimes you might want to probably work from an older notebook. If you remember, we created this notebook, ACC204.IPYNB. IPYNB, that's the extension. It stands for Interactive Python Notebook. I for interactive, PY for Python, NB for notebook. That's the meaning of the extension of that file. And it's a notebook file, so notebooks are meant to open them. You can't open them from Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or any other application. Every file has a family it belongs to, and that is specified by the extension of the file. So if it is a Word document, you will see .doc or .docx, and so on and so forth. So that's a similar thing you are seeing here. What I'm trying to say is that if you come here, you can get access to all the files you've been working on, and if you want to work on an existing file, you can do so. So now I can double click on ACC204, that's the one we created the last time, and it will open and you will see all the stuff that we worked on. And if you want to build on it, you can simply do that. So that's where I want to work from instead of the new one that I created. So the other time we talked about Markdown, which is, if you like, the Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint part of the whole program that we are trying to build. Because in addition to the code, you will want to narrate a story. The whole business of programming is storytelling. You are going to analyze stuff to be told to some stakeholders, and that means you have to explain a lot of things. You have to tell a lot of story about why things are the way it is and why you believe that they have to do what you think they should do. That's a lot of storytelling. So there are a lot of narratives which will have to be captured in the form of text, and that is the Markdown part of it. Now we are going to do the coding part of it. So the default cell is in the code mode, like you are seeing. You can build anything, any giant programming from here, but let's begin from very basics. What can we do in the code cells? We can start from basic calculations. For example, I can do 2 plus, just like the way you use your calculator, 2, and of course I have to also make you aware of some coding conventions. I think before I delve into this section, let me tell you something. There is something which is called the Zen of Python. Actually, it is the commandments.
You can't say that. Can you?
Any concern? Okay, so if you are not saying anything to support the class, please, I plead with you to keep quiet, otherwise you disturb what I'm doing. So there are principles, or if you like, there are commandments which is supposed to guide you as a programmer doing programming with Python. We call it the Zen of Python. And let's try to get that commandment, like the commandments you read from the Bible, 10 commandments or so. Python has about 19 commandments. They are not anything so serious and intimidating like some of the stuff you can read from the Bible. No, it's only like things to make you program for your programming code to be friendly and easy to understand by yourself and any other body who reads it. So let's try to get access to those principles first. What I'm coming to do, you don't need to really worry if you don't understand it, because programming is like that. We are trying to connect dots. Until we have connected many dots, the few dots will not make sense because it can't create the pattern. But if you connect so many dots, now you can see that, oh, some picture will be emerging, and then you will be getting the picture, the bigger picture. That's just how programming is. So when we are picking the dots, please, you only need to be attentive. You only need to be interested. The picture will emerge. So I'm going to do this, type import this. Don't really worry if you don't understand what it is. Okay, so when I say import this, now, have you seen something on my screen? Please
Yes,
give me
sir.
the feedback so
Yes, sir.
I
Yes,
don't
sir. We can
make any
see.
mistake. Good.
Yes,
Good.
sir, we can see.
So this is the principles, or
Yes,
this
we
is
can
the 19 commandments of Python. In your notebook, here you will see it tiny. Let me see if I can have a way to enlarge it for you. Sorry. Okay, this might be better. But when you go home, try and go over it before you sleep. So when you do import this is what you see.
I've not muted it.
The Zen of Python by Tim Peters. Let's read a few of them. I'm not going to read all of them. So it's like the commandment you should follow when you are doing your coding. Beautiful is better than ugly. Explicit is better than implicit. Simple is better than complex. Complex is better than complicated. Flat is better than nested. Sparse is better than dense. Readability counts. Special cases aren't special enough to break the rules. Although practicality beats purity. Errors should never pass silently unless explicitly silenced. In the face of ambiguity, refuse the temptation to guess. You can read the rest. These things are supposed to guide your mind about how you have to program as a programmer. That's just by the way. So we are going to try to make you understand how some of these principles are used when you are coding. For example, I said we can use the interface Python to do simple calculations that you do, even complex calculations that you can do on your calculator or any other thing. You can use it as a complex calculator, but that's not what it is meant to. It is meant to do higher level things like artificial intelligence that you are so enthusiastic about. All of these things were built through Python program. So if I want to use it as a mere calculator to do simple stuff, I can do 2 plus 2. But we can make this one a little bit more readable. So now, how does it connect to this Zen of Python? Readability counts is part. Readability counts. So maybe I can make it better in terms of readability. So I do 2 space plus space. This is better. This is more readable. So you are typing it the natural way we type so that someone can read what you are typing or writing better. When I do this and run, and if you want to run something from the notebook, you can do Shift down and enter, or Alt down and enter, or Control down and enter. They behave a little bit different. I will not do all of them. I have just told you about them. I'm going to do one. When you go, try the rest and see the difference among them and see where you have to use which. So I'm going to do Shift enter. And then you will see that the output comes below the code cell. So this is the output. So 2 plus 2 is 4. I can do 2 times 2 times 10 and do Shift enter. It gives you the results. So these are the basics, extremely basics. Actually, in programming, you wouldn't do anything like this. So now let's try to talk about some of the things we'll be doing when we are programming. Let's talk about the concept of variables. So here I'm going to turn this cell as a text cell or markdown and give this title, variables. So what are variables? Variables are like containers. So instead of doing 2 plus 2, maybe it's a formula which you will use in many parts of your programming. You can store it in a container. That makes it possible for you to call the container. Anytime you call the container, that formula or that value becomes available for you to use. So for example, I can say x equals 2 and then run it. When you run it like this, it will not say anything because when you declare a variable like this and assign a value to it, what has really happened is that your computer has created this variable, this space in the computer's memory and assigned this value. So it is there waiting for your usage. Unless you call it, it doesn't come. So if you want to call it, we can say print, and print is a function. And every function, this is how functions behave. Functions have names like the name print, and they have open and closing parentheses. So print is one of the inbuilt functions in Python, and it is meant for you showing things on screen. For example, when we declared this variable x and assigned the value 2, and we run the cell, we didn't see anything. If you want to see things that are not automatically seeable, you will need to tell the print function to show them for you. So I can say print x. And when I run it will say, okay, x is 2. In IPython, that is why the extension is IP and B. IPython, IPY. I stand for interactive, which means that we do not, in IPython, you do not necessarily need to even use the function print. You can just call the variable name directly. So I say x, and it will bring the output. So when you are coding in Notebook, you can do these things, but this is the official way to do it, using the print function. So now we have created a variable called x. Let me also create another one, y equals 20. It is stored. And now we know how things work around the variable. When I run it, it will be stored. It will not show up the value of y as an output. But if I want to show the value of y as an output, I can add it to the code. I can add it automatically after I declare y in the same code cell. So I can do print y and run it, and it will show that it is 20. So when you have variables, what can you do? Now I can say, okay, do x plus y. And it will do that calculation. Do y times 10. And it will do that. And of course, if the resultant of any of the manipulations we are doing on the variables needs to be stored, you can create another variable and store them. For example, if I want to store x plus y for some other usage, I can store this in a different variable, say z, and then z will be equal to the value of x plus y. So when I call z, you will see that it will print the value of x plus y, and z is another variable. So basically, variables can contain these digits. Of course, it can contain any other value. So now let me take the opportunity to talk to you about what we call data types. When we were doing a SQL and Access database, we talked about data types. Data types are basic, they are fundamental concepts in all programming languages. Every programming language will talk about data types. It's so fundamental, you just need to know about them. So now let me create a text cell and then give it a title, data types. What are the various data types that we have in most programming languages and therefore Python? We can have integer. So let me try to add something to this one. So we can have integer. We can have, so integer is like a whole number without decimal parts, without a fraction part, negative, positive. It doesn't have a fractional part. So example can include something like 20 or 10, negative 10, 1,000. So whole numbers without fractional parts, both positive and negative. And we can also have what is called decimal numbers. In Python programming and in many other programming, it is referred to as floats or floating point numbers. Float. So float can be 2.4, negative 10.3, and so on and so forth. We can also have string. Which is also referred to in many other programming languages as character. when we're doing a database, you remember that character. So we have variable character or fixed character, which is just character. So var, char, and those stuff. So character in Python programming and some other programming languages, the name that is used to refer to textual non-numeric characters is string. So what's an example of a string? Something like your name. So Josh is an example. It can also be maybe some things that we don't mean to do calculation on, like your phone number, like we explained. Even though some people will store phone numbers as integers, I don't think there's so much sense in that because we reserve numeric data type for variables that we mean to perform some calculations on. Phone numbers don't qualify for those kind of calculations. Zip codes and some other numbers. So all of those things can be stored as string. Sure. Okay. So that's about the data types, just about the data types. Now, let's see how we combine these data types. Of course, there's also a function called type, which you can use to help you find the data type of a variable or a value. Mostly you will not use values in your programming, you use variables. That's why we are talking mostly about variables. We have created the variable x, it has a value. So when you want to find the type which is of the variable x, you can say type is a function. So it has that name type. And that's why I say these things are English, or if you like broken English. So type into brackets, let's say x, and it has to tell us the type. It says it is int. So that is the short form of integer, and that is how we do it. We write it in when we are actually coding int. Let me write another variable, which is a floating point. So let's say q, the variable q, I'm going to assign it a floating point, so 10.5. And then there's another variable also called m. I'm going to assign it a string. When you are typing string values, computers naturally don't have any idea about strings. They are okay with numbers. They are meant to know numbers. They are not meant to know our language and the strings of them. So when I'm typing my name, I need to tell the computer that, hey, this is not a number. This number is to pass that string you are typing in a quotation, double or single. Python accepts both. So I'm going to say George. And now let's check, sorry. Let's check the types of these newly created variables. So let me do type q. So it says it is float 10.6. And let me do type m, because we stored this Josh type. And it says it is string. So this is how we type it when we actually program an str for string. There are other types of, other kinds of data types like complex data types and so on and so forth. You can read about them. But in most cases, around what we'll be doing and what you'll be doing as data analytics or data analysis. These are the basic data types that you are going to be using. Okay, any questions so far? Let's quickly respond because there's no time, so we can save some time. Any questions so far?
Sir,
Yeah, go ahead, please.
please, the string, is it a function or is also a data type?
Which one?
The string.
Say again, say what you said again, I couldn't get you.
Please, I'm asking if the string is a data type or is a function.
What? Screen.
The string.
String.
Yes.
String is a data type. So we are checking data type. So you see type M, and it says a string. So the string is a data type.
Okay.
So the
thank
type
you.
function, the function is the type. The type function is used to check what the variable is or what the value of the variable is. Is it a string? Is it a number? If it is a number, is it an integer number or is it a floating point number? All right?
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah. So now let's get a little bit deeper. In programming, and of course, in programming is meant for you to model the world, the way you do things in the world. It's more complicated than doing Q and assigning it 10.6, doing M and assigning it as Josh. Let me give you a typical example, like the things we do every day in our lives. Like, let me use myself as an example. As a teacher, I might want to probably store your grades and program it somehow. I cannot store your grades like these variables I've been creating. I don't even know how I can do that. Would that mean that, okay, I type, let's say, your name and I assign it your grade, and you can just imagine how many of those things I have to do. I have to do as many as the population of the class. So programming languages have what we call data structures. So these data structures mimic the way we naturally store data and information for further processing for our usage. For example, if I want to do something like what I said, maybe gather your grades, or let's even use your case. Let's say when you are coming to school, you want to prepare yourself in terms of the things you need to get before you come to school. So maybe you will pull some paper and take some pencil or pen and try to list the things you need. Maybe your dad needs them. You say, oh, go and list the things and let me have them. When I go, I'll go and buy them. These are things we do every day. So you create a list. So these are what we call data structures. The way we do things every day and the way we create the data, whether you write it on a sheet of paper or you create it on a computer or your phone, programming languages create data structures to mimic these ways we capture data. So now we're going to talk about data structures. So we have, let me just update this one, put them under it like this. We have a number of data structures. We'll discuss the most important ones for our need now. That will mean that it will not be all that we'll discuss, so you will have to read further. I'll provide you with a lot of information about that. So we have something like lists, and of course, like I told you, it's like the everyday things we do. When your dad tells you, Kofi, go and bring me the list of the things you will need for your school. It's lists. And we are not speaking any technical jargons. It's the same thing we do. So lists. And you will see very soon that the list is just like the way you write your list. You just need to know how the computer will handle it. That's all. Programming is not difficult. Don't let anybody confuse you about that. We also have something like dictionary. Maybe that's a little bit not known, let me put it that way, but you soon realize that, okay, it's just the name that probably you have not known it to be. We also have a data type called tuple. Um, we can have things like sets and so on and so forth. We're going to talk about tuple, not so much about sets. It's not difficult to understand sets, but it's not too useful for what we want to do for this part of the course. So these are some of the basic data structures. So now let me make it basic data structures here, because there are advanced data structures aware, and we'll talk about them. So basic data structures. So now let's talk about lists. So this is like the list you create every day. Yeah, no difference. Just that you need to create it for the computer to understand that, I mean, the Python program to understand that, okay, this is a list. When I see it the way you have done it, I know you are creating a list. So I don't confuse it with, let's say, a dictionary or a tuple or a set. Yes, it's the same way. If you are doing the same thing in a natural way we do it, if your dad says go and bring me a list, you cannot go and write let me say, you cannot go and write a story. A story is not a, there's a way we do lists. And that's how the computer wants you to, the computer also understands things in a similar way. There's a way he understands lists. So do it like that and he knows it's a list. When you are creating a list is a list of stuff, a list of things, which is encased in square brackets. This is how the Python programming language knows a list. When it has something like this, 1, and the items in the list are separated by a comma, 2, 3, 4, 5, in square brackets like this, then it knows you are creating a list. That is different from when you do 1, 2, 3, or even 1, 2, 3, but not in a square bracket. It means a different thing for the computer, for the Python program. So these are the things you just need to know, and these are not difficult things to know. So let's say we want to store our list as a variable so that we can call the list by the variable name. So let's simply call it my list. You can give it any meaningful name. When we run it, it will create the list variable or the list object. We'll talk about what objects are. If I want to see what is there, I can call my lists. And it will say, okay, this is your list. And a list can contain not only numbers, it can contain text, it can contain a mixture of things, even symbols. So we can update this, my list, by adding some other things. How do we do that? In real life, when you have probably made the list of the things you need for school and submitted to your dad, it's possible later you can remember, oh, I didn't add this one. And then you go and tell your dad that I forgot. And then your dad say, come and take the list and go and write all the other things that you think are parts. So lists are meant to be updated. A typical term we use in programming is mutability, mutation. So we say lists are mutable. It means you can change it after creating them. You can add something to it. You can remove something from it. And the programming language allows you to do all of these things. The way we modify the lists after we have created it, for example, adding something to it, removing something to it, the functions or the part of the programming language which makes us able to do this are essentially some functions. And when the functions are being used on the objects, or in this case, variable objects, that function is just called a method. So a method is just a function which is being applied to an object. Don't worry about it too much. We are plotting the dots. Very soon you will see the bigger picture and say, okay, this is not really difficult. So now let's see some of the methods that are applicable on a list. We talked about the fact that we might want to add something to the list. So there is a method called append, and you see it is English. Append. Unless you have an issue with your English, then this should not be difficult. So append. Yeah, it's a function or a method. A method is a function which is applied to an object. So they are the same thing. So let's see the append. How we use the append to add or update the list. The append, like the name suggests, if you want to take cues, you can connect your mind to the word appendix, append. So it is at the bottom, it's at the end. So this method updates the list from the end of the list. It can only add to the end of the list. It means that there has to be other methods that can make you probably add to any part of the list, not only the end. Let's go ahead. So let's see how we do that. So I will say my list dots. This is how we write it. This is how we speak the language. My list dots append. Append is a function, so it has this open and closing parentheses. And you put inside the append function or method what you want to append. So let's say I want to add something which is not a number, which means I need to put it in quotation. So let's say you need pens, so pen or pens. Now let's run. Nothing happens. It means that it has understood your language. So now we can call my list and see its new content. My underscore list. And now you see that, okay, my list is now updated. It has pens. Which other way too can we add things? You see, lists are also indexed. What we mean by index is just like your index numbers. Of course, I mean, talking about your index numbers is even far. The list that you create for your dad for the things you need for school. In most cases, you will number them. 1, I need this one. 2. So the 1 and 2 that you are attaching to the things that you are listing are the indexes or the indices of the things. And the same thing applies here. So once you create a list, Python automatically or inherently gives index numbers to all the things in the list. It's an inherent indexing. You don't need to see them, unlike ours, which will start from 1. Python's indexing starts from 0. So if Python were to be the one providing the list to your dad, instead of saying 1, maybe shoes, 2, Milo, 3. Python would have said 0, shoes, 1, so it starts from 0. So we can use the idea of the index numbers to also do some manipulations. First of all, let's try to use the index. Let's call them the things that we have provided in the list by their index numbers. Just like we do on you. We know you by your index numbers. So now let's look at the things. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pens. So if we are counting it Python way, it will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 0 to 5. So pens has index number 5. So when I do mine underscore lists, and this is another way we use square brackets. Don't confuse things. Square bracket used in this sense is creating a list. And this list is stored as my list. That's the object name. So when I do object name, square bracket, this square bracket in this case is used to access the index. It's used to access the element in the list by the index number. So when I do 5, I just want to access the pens. When I do 5, I'm calling pens by pens index number 0, 1, made that okay. It is pens because the index number for pens is 5. And when I do my list square bracket 5, I'm only saying in my list object, find what is at the index position 5. So you see pens. It also means that when I do my list square bracket 0, it will show you the first element, which is 1. Python can also make you read or find the elements by their index numbers from the reverse side. So instead of doing 0, 1, 2, 3, you can also read it from behind, and that is by using negative numbers. So I can do my underscore lists square brackets -1. When you are doing it from reverse, it doesn't start from 0. Of course, if you put 0 there, it means the first element. And you can't do -0. So it starts from -1. So -1 will correspond to this one. Pence. If you do -2, it will be 5. So you go home and experiment on these things. There are methods like insert. Insert. So let's do my list dot insert. Insert works. Insert takes 2 parameters, unlike the append, which takes only 1 parameter. Is one thing that we want to append. The last time I was reading something, it looks like if it now can take more parameters. So maybe we can even check it now. Let's check it now and see if it works. So let me do append, where I try to add multiple things I want to append. Append, and let's say I want to add, I've added pens, so I want to add pencils, comma, books, comma, has multiple pen, things like this. I want to check, I was reading something like there has been a change in the way that function works. Let me check if it works. If it doesn't work, it means this doesn't work. What doesn't work? So it means the append method only takes 1 parameter. So let's read the error message. List.append takes exactly 1 argument. 3 is given. So this is how you can use to test your doubts about, okay, can I pass more than 1? It takes only 1. All right? So now let's talk about the inserts. That's the one I was trying to talk about. We use this one to just confirm how the append works. It takes only 1 parameter. 1 argument. So it means that if you want to add several things to the end of the list, you have to do a lot of append. That might not be useful. Let's look at how insert works. So my list dot insert, and this one takes 2 parameters. It takes 2 parameters. Okay, no problem. So the first argument it takes is where you want to insert what you want to insert. The location in the list that you want the thing you are inserting to go. So it wants you to specify the index location or the index number. So if I say 0 and do comma, and let's say I'm passing a string element, so I do books. Then it means I want to insert books at location 0. So it will shift the 1, now the 1 will come to position 2 and put the books in front. Let's run it and see if there's no bug. Okay, so it works, means there's no error. Now let's access our list and see the new content. Okay, so you see books, and then 1, 2, 3, blah, blah, blah. So that's how the insert function works. Let me test if the insert function takes more than 1. No, I think it takes only 2 parameters. It takes only 2 parameters, the location and this one. Let me see if I pass this one as a list. If you want to pass it as a list, it means that you need to put it in the square bracket. Let me see the behavior if I pass it as a list. It means that after book, I'll say comma, let's say shoes. Let's do 2. If 2 works, it means more can work. This will work, but I want to see if it will add them individually or it will take the list as one thing and put it at the end, at the front of it. So let's do it. Let's run it and see. And now let's access the list and see the content. Wow. So it doesn't work the way we want it to work. You see that the books and the shoes is put together as one element. It's still boxed together as one element. So this tells you the behavior of the insert function. It means that if you want to insert them, this, comma, that, you have to pass only one element at a time after you have specified the index location you want the element to go. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Okay, no questions. So this is a bit about lists. The videos I have shared with you contains a lot more detail about this. Just around these things, they are not difficult. Just for the sake of time, let me talk about some other data structures.
So
let me talk about this. Yes, sir.
So please, in Python, does it always display items horizontally like this, or it can be in vertical form? Like say the list that you just did. Can it be in column like
you want it to display vertically?
Yes.
Yeah, you can. I think there's a function. There's a function that can make you display it vertically. I don't currently have it in my mind, but you can always search for it. So please, what you just asked, just if you don't have the means to do it now, you can do it later. Just go to ChatGPT and say, okay, how do I display my list objects in a vertical form when I call the list to display? I mean, just find some English. You know, ChatGPT is a human being. When I say it's a human being, not exactly as a human being, but its behavior is like us. So the same way, if I'm speaking to you and I don't speak well, you might probably not get the context, and you might have to ask me more questions to get a context. ChatGPT, if you're using the text, probably it will not ask you, I don't really understand the context and which. So when you are asking something, you need to make sure you describe what you want it to do for you very well. That's the prompting thing, the prompt engineering thing. That's the whole thing about it. So you can give it a good context. You can break it down and ask it. And that's how you have to do it. So you can say, I have created a list object in Python. When I print the objects, or when I print the list, it shows the elements in a horizontal way. Is there a way I can show it vertically? I mean, that is conversational. Do it like that and you'll see. It will explain everything. And you can even give it this context that, oh, I am learning these things for the first time. I have no idea. So I want you to take your time and build my knowledge. So when you give that context, it knows the kind of explanation and examples it needs to do for you. And this is how you have to use the tool. Not that if an assignment is given to you, you go and sleep and fool around when it is just a day because the assignment is not well crafted. You can just go and put the assignment in ChatGPT and print it and submit. When you do that, you are deceiving yourself. You pay the money and you are paying the time. It's not a lecturer. The lecturer will be paid. And at the end of the day, you want to get work. When you go for interview, let's say you say, okay, I've done Python programming, there's some good job, it pays well. So yeah, I can do this. I can do, and all the things you've been doing around this thing is to copy things in ChatGPT and printing the answers. The job owners will make you sit down before a panel. They will give you a job to do. That one, all I know is to use ChatGPT to do this. And you know that that doesn't give you the job. So don't fool yourself. Use it that way to help you to understand what you are learning, because that's why you are here, to understand. I am not forcing you to learn. You said you want to learn. If you think, oh, this is a waste of time for you, quit. Use the time and the money to do what you want to do. You are not going to live 1,000 years to waste your time doing things that you don't like. And if you think you like it, don't fool yourself. Do it well. Yeah, so put it in ChatGPT, not only this question, any other question. That's how you learn these things. You'll be able to speed up your learning, time greatly if you employ ChatGPT this way I'm describing to you. Is that okay? Okay, so let's go to dictionary. Dictionary, the name sounds a bit confusing, but not really confusing. Everybody knows dictionary, right? Can someone tell us something about the structure of a dictionary? Because that's what it is, so that we get it well, and you see that, oh, okay, this is not confusing. Programming is not confusing. Programming is for computer. No. So it's a question. How is the structure of a dictionary like? The dictionary you use in your room to check for meaning of words. That's what I'm asking about. What's the structure of it? How is it structured? How does it work? It's a question, please. We don't have time, so respond quickly. Nobody knows how the dictionary is structured and how it works?
I think it contains a lot of words with their meanings, and it's arranged in alphabetical order, and how the pronunciation of words and stuff.
Please, or you are done. You are done.
Yes, please.
Okay, that's a great answer. So basically, a dictionary is a word and then a corresponding meaning, right? A word, that's the basic structure of a dictionary. A word, its meaning. Another word, its meaning. Another word, its meaning. And as part of the meaning, sometimes they also give you just about the opposite meaning or the antonym and so on and so forth. That's the basic structure of a dictionary. And in real life, we store many of the things that we process in a similar manner. For example, you might want to create a data such that you want to do it like, okay, the person's name and then his age. So person 1, age. Person 2, age. Person 3, age. Or just around the things we do, index number 1, score. Index number 2, score. Index number 3, score. It's the same dictionary structure. That is why this is not a technical thing. And that is why when I ask you about what the structure of the dictionary is, you need to engage, because this is what will make you understand. So the dictionary data structure is the natural way we create certain data. Like I want to create a list where I have the index number of the students corresponding with their scores. That's it. So the dictionary data structure is like this. It's like the way the dictionary is like. That's why we have borrowed that word dictionary. And that's all it is. So how does the computer know you are creating a dictionary? Similarly to how we created the lists, the Python program knows that when you encase a comma-separated list of stuff in square bracket, it understands you are creating a list. So now if I do just a moment before I come to this one. So let me insert some cell below here and do my list. So let me do type. I want to find the type of the my list object. So type my underscore lists. We want to check the type of it and see what do you see? It says it's a list. So that's how it knows that this is what you're doing is a list. And when you check the type of it, it says a list. Because you encase this comma separated stuff in a square bracket. That's the syntax. This is how we create a dictionary. You use curly braces, open, closing, and then you say, of course, you can also write it nicely like this. So I just pressed enter, and then instead of typing it horizontally, I want to do it vertically so that you can see some structure. For a list, if it goes horizontally, it makes sense. By a dictionary where I have key and value pair, like a word and its meaning. So a pair of things, key, value pair, key, value pair, key, value pair. When you read about dictionary, this is the term you will hear. A dictionary is a collection of items of key value pairs, key value pairs, key value pairs. So the key here is, let's say, sorry, person 1 is a string, so I have to do person 1. And is semicolon. So now the age is, let's say, 20. Then, so this is one element, which is one key value pair. The next key value pair will have to be defined after I've typed comma. I come down and do person 2 colon, let's say he's 24. If I have another key value pair, I do comma. Let's say person 3, he is, let's say, 40. And then I can store this as a variable or as an object. So let's say my dict. And this single equal to is an assignment symbol. I think I'll have to talk to you about, by now you should have watched the video, so you have to understand what the assignment symbol means, this equals sign. So it's assigning the right hand things to the objects, my dict. So when I run, it's going to store that. You can call for my dict and see the content of it. My dict, and you see, okay, sorry, my 20, comma, person 2, 24, comma, blah, blah, blah. Unlike lists, which is indexed, dictionary is not indexed. They don't have inherent index numbers. So what we use to track the values is the key. So this one, person 2, person 3, they are the keys. And then the 20, 24 are the values corresponding to the keys. So if I want to access, let's say, the 20, if I want to access the values, I use the keys to do that. So I can do my dict dot person 1, and let's see what happens. So when we do the square brackets in this way, it only means that we are accessing this key, accessing the value of this key. When we're doing the lists, when we're doing it like this, it means that we're accessing the value of the index number we pass. It's a similar thing. So we are accessing the value of the key here. So person 1 is 20. When you do person 2, it will tell you it's 24. Person 3 will be the last one, which is 40. And there are methods that you can also use to update the dictionary, remove some elements from the dictionary, and so on and so forth. That is the assignment I want to give to you so that you can also have an activity for yourself. They are very simple stuff to do. If you get it way like the way I taught you into ChatGPT, I want to learn how to do this. How do I add a new key value pair into my existing dictionary to give you a lot of notes? How do I remove elements from my dictionary? How do I do this? How do I do this? This is how we use the tool. So I'm giving you that opportunity for you to use the tool the way you have to use it. Don't use it wrongly in a cheating way, because when you do that, it is yourself you are cheating. You can't cheat anybody. Okay. So this is where we will end today's session. We've been able to cover a few stuff from variables, basic data structures, and some methods that are to these data structures. If you have any question, I have about 1 minute. Then I can talk about it. Otherwise, we can depart. Any questions, please?
It's not a question, but I wanted to ask.
Questions?
Not a question, but I wanted to ask if
Once you want to ask,
the video is being.
if you are asking, then it's a question. Or you want to say?
I wanted to say if the video is being recorded for us.
Oh, okay. I get it. It's a question, but it's not related to the content. Yes, the video is being streamed live, so it's automatically recorded, please.
Oh, okay, boss. Thank you.
Okay. Please, any other question? So what I will encourage you to do is that I've already shared a lot of videos with you. They are the same like lectures I did myself, like I'm doing to you. You have to watch all of them so that you can get things ahead of time. That will help you so that when we are doing like an engagement session, at least you have some idea about it and you can engage well. Once the content is released to you, the question is not whether someone came to stand before you and taught you or not. Once the content is released to you, the job of a student is to consume the content. If you have questions, you can use your learning communities to discuss the questions first. That's the essence of those communities. If the community is not able to resolve some doubts, a rep from the community can come, or even the whole of the community, if you want to come, you can book a time with me in the office, or you can see Alfred, and we will sort you out. That's it. If you sit down there and you don't watch the videos, nobody can watch them for you. It's not doable that way. If you give you text content to read and you don't read it, nobody can read it for you. And that can cost you in the exam. The exam will test your understanding of these things because you can't new programming language and you can't write your mind around it. You need to know exactly how it is. If you don't learn it very well, you are most likely to fail. Please, I beg you, let's help ourselves so we don't get into that problem. Thank you very much for your attention. We will meet next time.